Bible reading Bob Rant. Like I've said continuously on this, I think I need to cut that name down a bit. But anyway, thankfully back only a day later, so this is a daily one. Yesterday I caught up on 6 days where I hadn't got on here. So I don't know how often I'll get out. I was going to try and make it daily. I'm finding that difficult at the moment. Hopefully I will get there in the near future. But today it's a daily one because yesterday I was on, so we've only got one Bible read. But before we do that, let me introduce my co-star. Here he comes, as always, JJ. Say hello. Yeah, he just is interested in the Pats. He's not. He comes across. Now we'll go back to his couch. Come on your couch. There he goes, and he'll sit there for. Where is he? He's gone on the other side of the couch now. Can't get there. He is. Oh my God! Now he's back here. I love my dog. He's such a good boy. You're such a good boy, aren't you? Yes, he is. Oh, God, they even make us adults talk like 5-year-olds, don't they? Eh? He's beautiful. He'll sit there all day. So, quick look at Melbourne's weather. Overcast day today. It was getting really windy. Rained heavily last night. But there is the weather over the bay. Looks very overcast. Don't see a lot of rain out there, which is good. Just chilly, overcast, no wind, very flat bay. The fishermen will love it. So they can get out there. But, yeah, not a great day, not a bad day. Typical Melbourne autumn's day. We're getting closer to winter. Footy season's now, round 8 we're coming up to this week. So my Tigers got their first win on the weekend. Yes, it's been a while. They actually played some good footy. And to be honest, they played some good footy against Melbourne for 3 quarters last week. So maybe the wheel's starting to turn for that team. I was having my doubts before the last couple of weeks, but maybe now that we got a win under our belt, I know coaching young teams myself, once you get a win and they get that belief, it's amazing what can happen thereafter. So, yeah, all very, very interesting. So we're up to the only got one Bible passage today before the rant. We're up to the 5th. So today's Bible passage comes from Luke 10:25 through 37, something we've all heard before, the Good Samaritan. The impact of this parable is heightened when one recalls that its hero, the Samaritan, was usually regarded as a foreigner, outcast, and a sinner. A teacher of the law came up and tried to trap Jesus. Teacher, he asked, what must I do to receive eternal life? So this is a good question. I brought this up the other day between what Catholics believe in and what Protestants believe in. Jesus answered him, what do the scriptures say? How do you interpret them? The man answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. You are right, Jesus replied. Do this and you will live. But the teacher of the law wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? Jesus answered, there was once a man who was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when robbers attacked him, stripped him, and beat him up, leaving him half dead. It so happened that a priest was going down that road, but when he saw that man, he walked on by on the other side. In the same way, a Levite also came along, went over and looked at that man, and then walked on by on the other side. But a Samaritan who was traveling that way came upon the man. And when he saw him, his heart filled with pity. He went over to him, poured oil and wine on his wounds, and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own animal and took him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper. Take care of him, he told the innkeeper, and when I come back this way, I'll pay you whatever you spend on him. And Jesus concluded, in your opinion, which one of these 3 acted like a neighbor towards the man attacked by the robbers? The teacher of the law answered, the one who was kind to him. Jesus replied, you go then and do the same. The Bible is full of very inconvenient parts like that for a lot of people, okay? For myself even. You know, when I go to a supermarket, and you get it all the time these days, and there's a homeless person there, and you just don't know with a lot of these people. A lot of it's sad to say, if they were legitimately homeless, and this is the problem in Victoria. I don't know what it's like in other states, but they got rid of the move-on laws when Dan Andrews first came into power. And ever since, we've had homeless just litter our streets before the police could move them on. And, you know, for example, I wonder what my TV receptions go. This bird is just lobbed on my antenna. I'll give you a quick look. I don't know whether to scare him off or not. That's probably. I always wonder why my reception sometimes goes AWOL. It's probably because of the bird. Just like this one. Look at him. Happy as Larry, sitting on my antenna out the road, ruining my reception. Cheeky little bugger. So, like the extract on the other day, you know, God looks after the birds, he'll look after us. That one, I don't know, that's a kookaburra. It's a strange bird. It could be that's not a kookaburra. Strange looking bird. Looks a little like a mini kookaburra. Anyway, someone out there will know what it is, but he's as happy as Larry. He's still sitting on my antenna. Don't you dare chew it. But he's having a good day looking for his next meal. Anyway, sorry, got distracted. What was I saying? Yeah, so that passage is very inconvenient for many of us. And with those move-on laws being thing, we've got, you know, homeless are now everywhere. If you go to the supermarket down any street, and they're always, you know, most of them are pretty harmless, but some of them will nag you for money and all this sort of thing. And, you know, a couple of times I've stopped to help. There was one time there was a young girl there with all her bedding and all that sort of thing, and she had a dog with her. So anybody who's got their dog with them, I always feel a bit sorry for that. So I stopped and I offered to buy her some pet food for a dog to help her out. And I was going to give her a few dollars to help her out as well. But then she gave me the old hard luck story. I don't need this. I just need to lift with all my stuff to this housing commission flat. So I don't know whether it was stupid or smart, but my Christian side is flying off. My Christian side took over and I helped her out. But what I realised by helping her out, she actually wasn't that destitute. She had a place to go to. She just needed a lift. So she made out that she was homeless and all this sort of thing. I did feel for a dog. And it's a very hard thing to get into because in the car, you can tell she really loved the dog, but she was also pretty cruel sometimes to the dog in the way she spoke to the dog, not in the way I would speak to it. Anyway, so we ended up getting her there, dropping her off. I had to go a fair way out of my way to do it. I just kept thinking about that passage, the Good Samaritan. So I did help her out, but at the end of it, it did leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth going, well, yeah, how do you know? I mean, this guy obviously knew. He got beat up and whatever. And I would hope, and I know I've done this once before, there was a fight in Bentley East near where I was living at that stage, and there was a gang of people just kicking the crap out of this guy on the ground. And I actually stopped my car, jumped out, got everyone away, got this guy, threw him in the back seat, took him down to the hospital, left him there. So I helped him out there, but he was like, you could smell it all over him. He was off his brains on alcohol and probably some drugs and all that. Probably did the wrong thing with some other young ones, and their stock standard response is to beat the crap out of them. So this is going back like at least a decade, maybe longer. So there's been circumstances I've helped someone else, but even on that day, would I do that now considering how quickly a crowd turns on you? Not sure if I'm being honest. So it's a very difficult thing to do, but where we can, and if you are capable of helping, you should help. One person you should be helping right now, I'll give him a shout out, is Nathan Livingston of the Milk Bar TV. If you haven't watched some of his stuff, he is unbelievable on exposing the influences on podcasts, people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, all that. He keeps their clips from like years ago. I don't know how he does it, but then he exposes their hypocrisy, you know, what they said 12 months ago to what they say now. He's actually sensational in what he does. And he's so good, he's now got Andrew Tate, who's trying to bankrupt him through a legal avenue. So he's got to go to court. And if you can support him, just look him up, Nathan Livingston. In fact, I'll look him up now. If you can support him with a small donation or just spreading the word. I can't afford it, for example, but I have spread the word on his behalf. I'll share the screen and we'll We'll see if we can't find him. I think he does such a good job. We can't afford to lose him off our social media. I did a thing on stupid Megan Kelly. Let's see if I can get him up. Nathan. There he is. So it's the Milk Bar, at the Milk Bar TV. So that's his tag there, at the Milk Bar TV. Got a lot of followers. He's an Aussie too. And as you can see here, watch Megan Kelly gaslight about how Tucker Carlson's train wreck New York Times interview went, which I'm about to cover in a minute. The reality that we all saw. So let's listen to him for a little bit.
So Tucker sat down with Lulu, and Tucker handled himself, of course, very, very well.
JD has been subject to, this is well known, but I'll just confirm it, nonstop people on the neoconservative side.
Who do you mean specifically?
You know, I don't know is the real answer. I don't know.
Was very deaf.
You know, you've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the
So I don't know, but I know no. That's the whole Candace Owens line. Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, you said, could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist?
Could this be the Antichrist?
The next comment he makes is funny. I mean, this is where Nathan's so good. I mean, this one was so obvious. Carlson just lies his ass off. But listen to what he says next.
Don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips.
And yet Nathan and plenty of others have played the tape where he said exactly that same thing. It's not the first time Carlson has denied saying something that he actually said. It's crazy.
Any sort of would-be trap she was laying, he saw from a mile away.
The future that I imagine is not a future in which we're yelling at each other about race. It's a future in which people are legitimately revolutionary, maybe even violent.
You said in our previous interview, the future that I imagine is not a future in which we're yelling at each other about race. It's a future in which people are legitimately revolutionary, maybe even violent.
I'm amazed that you have a tape of me saying that, and I just want to disavow it.
You're accusing people of treachery, so I'm wondering.
Well, I know there's been a lot of treachery, for sure, and I know they were so mad about JD getting that job. I mean,
who's they?
It's hard to really know.
This is me looking skeptical.
Yeah, well, no, but it's me being honest. Like, I don't really know.
And Tucker handled himself, of course, very, very well.
I don't know where that comes from. I'm amazed that you have a tape of me saying that. I'll just confirm it. It's like, I don't really know.
And that's where Nathan is so good. He puts the pieces these together. He puts it up. Now he's got Andrew Tate.
So Tucker sat down with Lulu, and Tucker handled himself, of course, very, very well.
And Megan Kelly, my God, I'll come back to this in a minute. So at the Milk Bar TV, get on his threads. You'll see there where he explains his position with Andrew Tate, who's trying to basically bankrupt him so he can't bring out these inconvenient facts for them all. So he needs some support. So if people out there can support him, or if you can't, just do what I'm doing, spread the message. And he's a person we've got to keep on X. He does a brilliant job, and he really exposes the lies. I mean, it was something I was going to discuss anyway. You know, as we call him the woke right, as in REICH. I cannot believe that people in America are seriously talking about Tucker being the next president of the USA and making a run in 2028. I mean, many people hold the USA in low regard now. I mean, if they elect Tucker Carlson, it would be, I think, a bigger tragedy than Joe Biden's presidency. That man has got some serious issues. I mean, in that same interview you just watched, he accused Trump of casting supernatural spells over people in his sphere of influence, which is kind of bizarre because at the same time, he's accusing Trump of being led around by Bibi Netanyahu. Well, that's kind of strange. What, does Bibi Netanyahu have a bigger spell over Trump than Trump has a spell over everyone else? You know, if Trump's the Antichrist and can cast supernatural spells, well, no one's going to lead him on. He's going to be leading others on. This is how weird the logic of Tucker Carlson's become. And the more I listen to him, the more I believe he actually was taken over by some demon, as he claims. You know, so a poltergeist maybe. He maybe needs an exorcism. something like that. I start to wonder about half these woke right. They've changed so much. Megan Kelly, just there. She's another one. They're all on board with Trump, and now they've done their 180s, and they're singing. They're all singing out of the same hymn book. They're all got the same lines. It's just regurgitating it all. It's just propaganda. It's diarrhea. It's political rubbish. And yet so many people get sucked in by this. We had young Ben, who was representing the Groypers a few weeks ago on our special Big J podcast. And good kid, but he was regurgitating the same line that Trump's a puppet of Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, Trump's a puppet of no one. You know, you be as critical of you like about Trump's decisions, but don't put out this line that Trump gets led by anybody. Trump is his own man. That's why he attracted so much support. He didn't rely on donors and all that sort of thing. So if you watch any history of Trump, if you followed him for any period of time, you'd realize how dumb an argument that is. But just because it's dumb doesn't stop them from regurgitating it. You know, you got Dave Smith, you've got that Turk, big fat Turk Senk, his side mate Anna Kasparian, Candace Owens, Corey Blonde, dumb bimbo, whatever her name is, can never remember her surname. But they're all the same. They're all the woke right. They all just dribble the same lines, same nonsense. And Tucker heads them up. Tucker, for example, another one, Nick Fuentes. Be interesting to get Bang back on here because I think he was a bit of a Tucker fan, but he's also a bigger Nick Fuentes fan because he's a groper. Or he speaks on behalf of the gropers. Sorry, Ben. But, you know, if you're a groper and as was explained on that podcast, that the gropers are a direct result of Nick Fuentes, well, Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on his show, never pushed back on any of Nick Fuentes' controversial views, really promoted him. But now he says he just sort of had him and he doesn't really wield much influence. And he was quite derogatory of Nick Fuentes on that interview. So are they still fans of Tucker Carlson? It's just the American podcast scene is crazy. It's nuts. Mind you, as I said yesterday, I'm not too sure the Australian podcast scene is much better. Further on to what I said yesterday with Avi Yemeni, who I like Avi. So it sounds, I just think he's doing a silly thing with these stupid stunts he's pulling with these fake political parties. And what's worse, if you're going to do it, don't broadcast it. Do it on the quiet. Get enough people to sign up on the quiet. But I got in an argument last night and today with a guy on X who was arguing why they're going to get rid of this group voting ticket. No, you're not, because the Labor's never going to get rid of it. It's too much of an advantage to them. And for them, they won't see Harvey as a threat. Harvey will get maybe, 100 or 200 people. They'll get tens of thousands. They've just got to put a message out to their union mates who will get a message out to every union member. And they'll recruit enough people for those preferences and their little parties that we never hear about, unlike Harvey and Monica Smith, who are just broadcasting this. So every no one knows what they're up to. And all they're going to do, in my opinion, is they're going to piss off a lot of undecided voters. And because this is all calculated to go towards One Nation, it's going to push them away from One Nation. So all we're going to get is the ALP again, just as One Nation's rising in the polls. So I think it's a silly strategy. I hope One Nation get away from it fairly quickly. And it was exposed last night that all the websites being done, so the left are very good at this. They will expose you pretty quickly. And already they've figured out by doing a simple search on IP addresses that Avi Yemeni's websites for these fake parties are on the same server as Monica Schmidt's websites. So, Monica Schmidt the other week was trying to say, oh, shit, this is Avi's thing and she doesn't know much about it. And now it's come out that all his websites are on her server. Ha! So unless she's given the passwords, and she may well have, for access to her website account, she's working in cahoots with Avi to put all these, which makes sense because she's also came up with a fake political party to divert preferences. So they're in cahoots, and why not just own up to it? But there is two so-called influences in Australia that I don't think help the Conservative cause that much. And I actually think if they felt you were being inconvenienced, if One Nation being inconvenient, they'd do a Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and drop you like a hot bag of spuds. Sarah, I mean, wasn't that long ago that Monica Smith was encouraging everyone to join a major party. Wasn't that long ago that Monica Smith was saying, don't join the March for Australia marches because of the Nazis. And then they're like 24, 48 hours later, say, oh, no, I was wrong. Go along and join the thing. It doesn't matter. We got the voices out. And then after the march, it turns around, well, we're forming our own marches group. I mean, it's very much like Tucker Carlson there. You know, it just changes policy. So is it all about me, focus on me, watch my podcast, I got to sell merch? I don't know, but they are accused of being grifters. And if you look up a grifter is a person that takes all these positions, gets them out in front. Candace Owens does this very well. Jordan Peterson has a great piece on it, which if I've got it here, I'll share it with you in a minute. These are the people on X you've got to be careful of, because they will grab any cause, put themselves as a face of that cause, to simply sell merch and get views and clicks, because it's worth money. It's worth money. Simple as that. So it's a grift. That's all it is. Anyway, rant on that. Next rant. I don't know. I'm going to be interested. Ben is a young Gen Z. And you hear the Gen Z talking about the boomers and, you know, how we stole all the wealth and all that, which is kind of bizarre. I mean, if you live a long life, you're employed for most of it, and you save a bit, you're going to generate some wealth, even under these ALP government. You're just going to. I'm not very good at it. I don't have a lot of money to my name. I made a decision at Ben's age, at 27, I was going to follow the Bible and Christ, and I have followed it. And, you know, if you do that, well, I didn't take an oath of poverty, but I may as well have done. Because I did things that aren't going to necessarily create a nest egg for you, which may come back to bite me on the ass. But, you know, I believe God will look after me going forward. So I've just got to have faith in him, which is what the Bible talks about. So that's the way I chose to go. But others have worked hard, saved hard, got money in the bank, bought good things, good on them, bought nice cars, houses, and worked hard to pay off those houses, by the way. And now our government, and a lot of them, yeah, they're investors. They're property investors, you know. So you have the capital gains tax and the negative gearing and all these things that helps them a little bit. And now the government's coming for them. And my fear is that people in the millennial and Gen Z age groups will cheer this on. And if you cheer this on, they've just never been around, lived long enough to understand what the ALP is legitimately trying to do. And this is just a rort. You know, they're reaching, they can't manage money. They're so far into debt. They can't pay for their little woke programs. So they're finding a way to steal our money. Doesn't matter whether you're a boomer, a zoomer, a millennial or whatever. It's like the Jewish saying, they'll come for the Friday people first and the Saturday people second. So they're talking about Islamic terrorists. First they'll come for the Jews, and what they mean by that, next, they'll come for the Christians. So the ALP, first, they'll make an excuse for this intergenerational wealth, and they'll come for the boomer class. But once they've got that money and then exhausted that, they'll come for the millennials, and then they'll come for Gen Z. Look, the answer is not tax. The answer is to reduce government spending, take the savings from government spending to pay back the debt. Like any debt in a household, if you're struggling to pay your mortgage, you've got to cut back on some luxuries so you can keep paying the mortgage to pay down your debt, to reduce your interest work, and finally get on top and put yourself in a good position. It's not hard. It's just a lot more numbers. That's all it is. But they're not looking to do that. They're looking to steal more of our money. Now, whether they're taking money from the boomer class or the older class, and, you know, you got the youth cheering them on, that will be you in a very short period, because once they exhaust that, they're coming for the next generation and the next generation. And I've seen this over and again throughout my lifetime with governments of both persuasions. We're now in a ridiculous stage this week that we're going to have two budgets, a Victorian state budget and a federal budget, both from the ALP, where we're billions of dollars. Who knows? $1 trillion in debt. And they're looking to take more of your money to get their grubby hands on it. And if they do get this, and I don't know what they're going to be doing with this, it's intergenerational wealth tax or something like that. Basically, they're going to introduce taxes to take money from those who've worked hard, and they're talking about a death tax of all things. They're talking about even when you die, they're coming for your money. Money that you as an adult would have put away to pass on to your children. And instead, the government's going to get their greedy little hands and take 25% of it. Now, they will put out a spiel. It'll be like superannuation. Oh, we're going to be putting into a fund to work on getting more houses so more younger people can afford a house. Bullshit. They might do that, but that money will then be managed by their union buddies, as our superannuation is. Their grants and their people they get to do the work to build the houses will again be with key either lobbyists from the building industry or their union buddies again, and they will just line all their pockets of all their mates. Instead of this being legitimately independent and run by a business enterprise, an independent business enterprise, it's going to be jobs for the boys. That means corruption, that means blowouts, that means waste of money, that means they'll be coming for your money again once they've exhausted this. It's typical socialism, Marxism, communism. You will be, what was that comment, the World Economic Forum thing? You'll be poor and you'll own less and you'll be happy for it. Let's see if I can get it up. But this is exactly what they're talking about. And Albo and Chalmers, you will be happy. Just let me get it up. Let's see if it comes up. Oh, you'll own nothing and be happy. So that's their WEF thing. And that's where our LP government's going to. They're going to tax us for our savings. They'll probably increase income tax. The next thing they'll go is to increase the GST. They're getting into savings. They're getting into property. They're making everything more expensive. In the end, everybody will own nothing because they won't have enough money to save. And because the government's providing everything, in their point of view, you'll be happy. That's the way communist works. That's the way socialist works. That's the way our government works. So, we do have, I don't know if anybody's read through it. I'd advise you to read through two things. Shout out to Scott Challen and his lobby group. I'm interested to get Scott on. I want to clarify some things. Even despite our last chat, I'm still a little nervous on a couple of things. But if you read through his policy platform that they've got through the Australian Lobby Group, it is really good work. I think they've stolen a few of my ideas. I want to check Scott on that, and I want to commission if that's the case. But also, if you look through, more importantly, the One Nation policy platform, as a conservative, they're seriously impressive. They say One Nation doesn't have a policy platform. Easy. Get on the website and have a look. If you're a conservative and can't support that, there is something very, very wrong with you. So as a conservative, we should be all getting behind One Nation. It was good to read in. I'm actually happy with this. And I think Barnaby's building bridges, which I think is excellent. And you're going to have, and this is where I hope it leads to, the One Nation. Barnaby's opening the doors to a coalition between the Nationals, the Liberals, and One Nation, a three-way coalition. Anything that unites the conservative side of politics, I think, is a good idea. And if in doing that, and especially if One Nation at the next federal election can win a number of seats, there's a big chance that the moderates will go and the conservatives will come in. The moderates will probably move towards the Teals. But we could have a real consolidation of really strong conservative voices. And whether you hate them or love them, I'm in the part that is give them time. I think Angus Taylor, if you're being fair, and Matt Canavan, considering they've got ranks, especially Angus Taylor, have got ranks infested with the moderate types, are doing a pretty good job to bring conservative policies back to the Liberals. Now, whether that will stay there for a long term, we don't know. But I tell you what, if One Nation is part of a coalition, you damn well know it will stay there, because One Nation, I've got no doubt, says if you stray from these policy platforms, we're out of the coalition. They'll lose government. They won't do that. No political party wants to divorce themselves from power. So we're in for some very interesting times in the next couple of years. I just think in Victoria, and I don't want to be critical because I know the people that run the branches down here have got precious little resources to use. I just hope we can get, and it's not a knock on the guy, anybody who stands, better than me. But if we're serious about winning seats, they've got to find a way to get a better candidate than what they put up for the independent election. I'm sorry. That's just what I'm seeing. And God bless the guy for standing, but he's not going to win you a seat. He's not strong in the way he speaks publicly. He melts in front of the camera, especially in front of some hardline questioning. He needed both Pauline and Avi to bail him out, which was a little embarrassing, actually, especially with Avi's interactions. And again, for undecided voters, I think that's a turnoff. So you've got your hardcore 25 to 28% vote now. To win seats, One Nation needs to win undecided voters. So I think they've got to be careful on who they latch their wagon to. And I'm only putting that out there, not to denigrate people, but I want to see One Nation winning seats. To be saying, we won 1 in 4 when the ALP candidate didn't run, that ALP candidate would take votes, I believe, away from One Nation. Because I think in that election, a lot of Labor voters would have voted for One Nation to try and stop the Liberals winning. So a lot of their votes would have gone that way and to the independent. So did they really get 1 in 4 or did they get more like a 1 in 5 vote? Not sure. It's a much better, obviously, performance, which is all milking off the greater performance federally that One Nation is doing. But we certainly need One Nation to evolve and grow in Victoria and to back them. So it is interesting. You need to get on those sites and have a look at their policy platforms. I've had a good read of both One Nation and both Scott Challen. And listen, there's parts there I'll disagree with, I'm pretty sure. Oh, excuse me. There's proposals I put up that they will disagree with. So, for example, I think the Conservative side of politics should embrace a republic. I will argue that forever and a day. To me, it is an obvious political proposal to get the Conservative side of politics on the front foot. Because I tell you what's coming, if the Conservative side of politics don't do it, you'll guarantee at the next federal election, Albo will take a republic to the next election. Beat him to the punch. Take a Conservative public, gather some great Conservative minds like Tony Abbott and John Anderson, and say, and they will be initially against it, but get them to draft a proper constitution that embraces a Bill of Rights, for example. Jacob Hersand, I think that's the way I pronounce him, he's a neo-Nazi. But he went to court today and he actually said things I strongly agree with. No Australian should be going before a magistrate in a court facing potential jail time for political speech that you disagree with. No one. The left shouldn't be able to put me in jail because I'm a conservative. I shouldn't be able to put a leftist in jail because they're a leftist. We have that in the battle of ideas, the battle of ideology, and may the better man win. And if there's too many dumb people that are actually going to embrace leftist ideology, well, the country's screwed anyway. So, we've got to get that Bill of Rights to defend all our freedoms that we can constantly get attacked with. So there's a lot of things there that we can all on the Conservative side agree and disagree on, but we've got to unite and we've got to compromise a little bit. We're not going to get everything we like. You never are going to get everything you like in politics. The problem with the younger generation is they want this, and this, and there is no leeway to compromise, which in the end means they're going to lose because they're just going to keep handing government to the ALP. It's all you're going to get. Some of their ideas are good. Some of their ideas are unpalatable to the undecided voters. So you're not going to win them over. We all have our bubbles, but if you don't understand the power of the undecided, which is the silent minority or majority, then you don't understand democracy or elections. It's the undecided majority that is going to decide the next election. And if you do something to scare them off, you're handing government to the ALP. And the ALP are so much better at this. So, I hope every conservative side, so there's people coming out, oh, you can't, it's the uni party and all this. Well, if you put One Nation in a coalition with the Nationals and LNP with conservative leaders, the uni party is not the uni party anymore. And Bob Menzies brought in decades worth of great government, a great Australia. Everyone talks about it. They all say they want to go back to it. Well, Bob Menzies brought together a bunch of conservative centre-right leaning parties to put the ALP into opposition for decades. They were the golden years of Australia. If you want them back, the conservative side of politics has got to go there again very, very soon. That's why I'm actually very happy to see them talking about this coalition. And hopefully that will evolve in bringing a leader out that can unite the conservative side of politics, because that is exactly what this country needs. Exactly. And we're still a fair way off it, but there's some certain steps being taken towards it. So I think that was great to see. And well done to Barnaby Joyce. I've got to say, kudos to him. I wasn't sure he would be a good fit for One Nation, but I think he's proving to be an excellent operator. He's had the change released. He's now in that leadership thing. I think he's had a rebirth as a politician. I think he's doing an outstanding job. And because he has people there he can talk to within the coalition in the LNP, we could get that unification of conservative side of politics. And we all get something of what we want. And we all, in doing that, we get a far better Australia than what we've got at the moment. Let's hope that's the way we go. Enough of a rant for one day. I've got my podcast tonight, Eureka podcast at 8 o'clock. I'll be just talking nonsense again. We'll have a bit of fun. 8 o'clock. Until then, or later this week, tomorrow, and whatever, God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless. Where is he? Here he is. Down at my side. God bless your pets. And God bless that flag. All right, let's get our country back. See you guys.